And Elijah, I mean, he's on a tremendous high, right? I mean, God has just done the incredibly dramatic. It's cool. And then the king, this horrible king of Israel, hears what's happened, and he's so hacked off. And so he sends soldiers to find Elijah and kill him. And so Elijah runs. And he runs into the mountains, and he finds this little cave, and he sits down and he sulks. And a really interesting thing happens. You should listen really closely. While Elijah was in the cave, the word of the Lord came to him. And God said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He said, "Lord, I've been very zealous for you. I've been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites, they've rejected your covenants. The agreements you made with them, they've broken them. They've broken down your altars. They put your prophets to death with the sword. I'm the only one left. And now they're trying to kill me too." And the Lord said, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Listen to this really carefully. At that time, a great and a powerful wind came, and it tore the mountains apart. It shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. Now, I don't know about you, but if God said to me, "Hey, I'm about to come out by, I'm going to pass by the cave where you are, go out and wait for me," and I went out, and I saw a wind that rushed through it, it ripped rocks apart, I'd be like, "God, welcome." But Elijah just stands there because he knew the Lord is not in the wind. And I don't know about you, but if I were out there waiting for the Lord and an earthquake came, I would assume that was God's arrival. But Elijah just stands there because he knew that the Lord was not in the earthquake. And if I was out there waiting for God and a fire came and swept over the face of the mountain, I would assume that was God's hello. But Elijah just stands there because he knew that the Lord was not in the fire. And then you get this very strange sentence. And after the fire came I'm reading the New International Version, and the word here is a gentle whisper. Depending on the translation that you have, you may have words like a still small voice or a quiet sound. And the reality is there's a couple of Hebrew words here that none of us are sure exactly how to translate. They're strange words. I mean, literally, if I had to translate these words just directly, it would say something like a thin silence. What the heck is a thin silence? I mean, the image that it conjures is something that's, it's calm and it's peace, but it's so narrow. It's not all-encompassing. It's not earth-shattering. It's a thin silence. It's this tiny, almost fragile thing. But it says that when Elijah heard that, he pulled his cloak over his face and he went out and he stood at the mouth of the cave. Because God was in the thin silence. And I read that and I find myself consistently broken. Consistently convicted. Because if God wanted to speak to me and he did it in an earthquake, I probably wouldn't miss it. If God wanted to speak to me and he spoke to me in a fire, I probably wouldn't miss it. If God spoke to me in a rock-shattering wind, it's unlikely that I wouldn't pay attention. But if God chooses to speak to me, as he so often seems to do, in a gentle whisper, in a thin silence, I could miss that so easy.